Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Sanity Series. I am here with Gabby Landry, a rising junior in Quincy House at Harvard College from North Attleboro, Massachusetts. Gabby grew up with 9 siblings and was raised by educators. Since coming to college, she has realized her own passion for education, specifically Montessori education and the importance of teaching emotional skills and current social happenings to grade school students. Outside of her work in the classroom, Gabby has been finding sanity during these tumultuous times by spending time with her family, exploring nearby state parks, and practicing yoga. Harvard recently announced its decision to only allow first years back on campus this upcoming fall. Because of this, Gabby has decided to take time away from campus to pursue other passions beyond her education, which I hope to hear more about today. Gabby, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Chom.
Oh, thank you so much, Gabby. So let's first talk about the leave of absence. I just want to talk more about that and your feelings on that. What's going on?
Yeah, so something I realized in the spring semester was that my professors were really good at adapting their teaching to the online platform, but my learning was very different. Since I was living at home back with my family and all of my siblings, it was just really hard to do my work. And just very hard to focus, very different environment than being on campus. And of course, being away from friends and my classmates who I would often discuss things from our philosophy seminars with. It's just a very different learning experience, and one that I didn't get a lot out of, honestly, even though my professors really did their best. So in thinking about this upcoming year, which will be online, I've been thinking for a while that it's a good time to kind of step back out of college and just take some time to think about what's been going on the past 2 years and kind of what I want out of college for my final 2 years. And I think that with some of the work that I'm doing this summer, with my high school that I graduated from a few years ago, I could have some cool opportunities to work directly in education. And I'm really excited about that.
You mentioned a little bit that you want to take this time to explore education with the projects you've been working on at your high school. Could you talk to us more about that, Gabby?
Yeah, so I had some plans to do some Harvard programs this summer, but they had to be canceled because of coronavirus. Yeah. And so at this time, I was kind of wondering, what am I going to do this summer? How is it going to fit in with what I'm interested in? Will I have to just find a job in town and work? But I reached out to my head of school at Montrose. This is an independent school for girls for grades 6 through 12. And I went for high school, so just grades 9 through 12. And I just asked if they had any sort of projects that I could help with. And so now I'm working with them on a few different things, some articles that they're writing for publication about sort of the idea of practical wisdom. They're developing this sort of model called the life compass. And it's kind of this diagram and just way of thinking about approaching challenges where you think about what are you aiming at? What is your true north? And then use your compass to sort of reflect on what you know, where you are, what information you have, and kind of get your bearings. And then recalibrate your compass. So sort of figure out, okay, what is the best way that I can get to where I'm aiming at? How are my initial reactions informing how I'm thinking about this? What's the role that my emotions are playing? And then trying to formulate a response and moving forward in some way. So one example that is actually an article I'm working on writing with them right now, sort of this case study of how they've used the compass recently is with, all of the events in the past few months with racism in the country. And of course, we know things like this have been going on for so long, but really brought to the forefront of our national discussion after the killing of George Floyd back in May. The school basically, they had a few different responses kind of following this compass. So with reflection, the head of school wrote a letter to the families and invited everybody to a prayer service for George Floyd and other victims of racism in the country. And the students really led the prayer service with some reflections and then leading the community with these prayers. But then the students also kind of took the reins and started creating their own spaces for reflection and response together, which was really incredible. I mean, for me to see as an alumna of the school, but also now as a research assistant with them, and as a friend to many of the students and a sister to a couple too. And so they created a space on Zoom, but still they created this space to talk about what was going on, to reflect on how they were feeling, and then to sort of do that recalibration process and response process together. So it's sort of collective, a collective use of the compass, I guess.
Right. I would love to know more about some of the inspirations behind your passion for education. What has really motivated you? Has there been just a moment in your life where you're like, wow, this is it. This is education is my thing. Or are there certain people in your life who have really influenced you?
Yeah, so I'll start with the people in my life. I think this is really where it started. So my parents are Montessori preschool teachers, and the preschool is run from our house. So, you know, along with my 9 siblings, there's also like 10 5-year-olds coming into my house every day. Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. And I think that that experience really just made me love learning. I think Montessori really nurtures the innate curiosity in kids. It just helps students really discover learning for themselves, to, you know, walk around the classroom and pick an activity and then just figure out how it works, or work with another student to learn about it. But I'll say that I didn't really think about education formally as like my field or the thing I wanted to study or work in until college. It was almost natural for me to just like fall into education, I guess, because I just realized in each experience that was what I kept returning to.
It definitely seemed like a very seamless transition. Have you been staying with everyone in the house during quarantine?
So I was for a while. All of us were home. I also had a foster sister. It's my parents' foster. So it was a very full house. But I recently I recently moved in with my grandparents in Mansfield, just a couple towns away, to help out with them during the day. It's been great. I hadn't had the chance to spend this much time with them since high school, really, because when I'm in college, I'll come home to visit, but never long enough, never longer than like a couple hours for a visit. So it's been really great to spend some time with them and just be able to help out. Just a lot of relaxing at home, watching a lot of game shows and cooking shows.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot yourself. Have you been doing a lot of relaxing as well? I hope you have.
A little bit. The weekends are definitely relaxing. I think one of the benefits of working from home is that there is so much flexibility. Like if I wake up and I still feel really tired, or if I have like a headache in the morning, or just want a morning to myself, I can take that and then just shift my work to the afternoon. At the same time, I think working from home makes it much easier to just like work a lot and not make as much space for relaxing, because work is in the same place as like everything else. It's been a mix, but I think I've been able to like read a lot and just hang out with my grandparents, not really doing much of anything, just talking and hearing their stories from everything that they've lived through.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the greatest inspirations behind the Charles and the organization itself is many of us were inspired by our grandparents and their story. I'm definitely inspired by my grandpa and his amazing stories living through the Vietnam War, and his stories of joy and pain. And so definitely, for sure, getting to talk to your grandparents and living with them and just getting wisdom from them is truly an amazing experience. Do you still keep in contact with your friends from school?
Yeah, definitely. It's different, right? Like, you know, with my roommate, I would come back to the dorm. We would come back to the dorm and just like talk for hours. But but now we just like FaceTime and text a lot. So that's been really great. And yeah, you pulled up the pictures.
Roommates?
They're not my roommates. So I'm in Alpha Phi, the sorority.
Oh, you are?
So this is me with 3 of my friends from Alpha Phi, Mary, Caitlin, and Olivia. And this was at one of our events. It was just like a girls' night. We just had candy left over from Valentine's Day, and we watched To All the Boys I've Loved Before, part 2.
Oh my gosh, I watched that literally the day after Valentine's Day too.
You can like kind of see it on the TV in the background. Yes. So yeah, we just had a great night, and like we were watching the movie, but also like a bunch of the girls were in the same PSET class, so they were like collaborating on the PSET at the same time and like getting help from another one of our friends. So yeah, really great source of community for me. I just joined in sophomore fall, so it was really amazing for my sophomore year and just a great support system for me.
Yeah. So I have here another picture of someone else who's also your community on campus. Yes. Would you mind telling us more about this amazing human, this wonderful photo?
Thank you. So this is me with my boyfriend, Deepak. Yes, and our third wheel right here. So we took this photo on my birthday.
What's his name? I'm sorry, I totally missed it.
His name is Deepak.
Oh, Deepak. Okay. Yes.
So we took this photo on my birthday at Border Cafe after an incredible meal with Deepak and with our friends. And yeah, he is just amazing. We actually met in opening days.
Like the first few days.
Literally August 28th, 2018.
Wow.
Which is hilarious. We didn't start dating officially until December. And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we both study philosophy, so we've had a few classes in common, but we also just like have incredible conversations about politics and philosophy and literally everything under the sun. I just feel like I can talk to him about anything and have such a great conversation.
That's awesome. How has it been dating Deepak long distance, if he is not in Massachusetts with you at the moment?
Yeah, so Deepak's British. He lives in Salisbury, about an hour outside of London. So I don't know. We've actually talked about this recently. Like, we kind of knew how to navigate it. We just know that as long as we're like keeping in touch, texting, calling, even Zooming sometimes if we both need to do work but like want some virtual company, it doesn't feel like a long distance relationship. It just feels like our relationship. So I think that's what I really love too, is just having that like comfort in him and in our relationship, and know that like even with the distance, we can still do virtual dates and we can still have the great conversations that we have. And hopefully this coming year will give us the opportunity to reunite at some point. We're trying to figure that out right now, but yeah, we'll see.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing, Gabby. I'm going to take this picture that I creepily found away now and go back to this background of girls. Thank you so much for sharing about just everything. If you could see one thing in the future, just know anything about yourself or anyone else, I guess, what would it be and why?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I think that it would be really cool to see sort of, I guess this is more like an immediate future thing I'm just wondering about. I would really love to see what life is like when people are confident that the coronavirus has more or less passed. Like a lot of pandemics, we'll probably never be free of it like completely, but just like the mental overcoming of this pandemic. Life right now looks and feels very strange, and like just like new things, new normals, and I just want to see what it's going to be like when.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
I feel like that's the question on everybody's minds.
Yeah. But yes, I absolutely do wonder that all the time too. I always think, oh my gosh, the first time ever when I'll be back with all my roommates on campus.
Mhm.
The amount of kisses I'll give them, the amount of
Mhm.
hugs and how long it will be, it's just
Yeah,
indescribable. Yeah,
I know.
absolutely. Well, Gabby, I hope to meet you in person one day. You're
I
literally,
know.
and it's such a blessing to know you and to get to know you more today. And thank you so much for being a part of the Charles and a part of the Sanity series today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a great conversation, and it's been really wonderful to get to know you too, Chum.